in one of God knows how many executive orders Donald Trump has made already, the most in U.S. history on a first day, and now the most in a week. Donald Trump signed an executive order that would declassify any remaining documents that are related to the murder, the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The announcement came today, January 23rd. And it came with another order that he signed that will basically do the same thing for the file of John F. Kennedy, JFK, as well as his brother Robert F. Kennedy, the one we like, not the new one, the old one. And so John F.K., JFK, RFK, and King kind of all together. And Trump said that, quote, this is a big one. And he said, quote, a lot of people are waiting for this for a long time, for years, for decades. Basically what he's doing is he's ordering the Director of National Intelligence and the Attorney General to space this out and to lay this out over 45 days, a 45-day plan to release RFK's files and MLK's files. And then they'll have 15 days to propose a plan within 15 days to release the JFK files. Though it's not entirely clear who's going to do it. But this is important. This is important. Now, Donald Trump says that he's doing it. And he said this the day before inauguration. He said that he's doing this to restore public trust and to restore, quote, transparency and accountability of government. We'll get back to that in a second. He said that his administration will, quote, reverse the overclassification of government documents. And in the coming days, we're going to make public remaining records related to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert Kennedy, as well as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other topics of great public interest. Now, of course, there are files already released. The National Archives website has information from the Select Committee's investigation of the assassination, how they dealt with James Earl Ray, who is the named killer. He is the convicted killer of Martin Luther King. They also have the FBI surveillance of King, as well as the other people I mentioned. All this stuff will get released sooner than later. There's also FBI transcripts, there's wiretaps of King. There's all kinds of stuff. If you remember, or if you know, many of y'all, most of y'all weren't born yet. But in 1977, a federal judge ordered the FBI to turn the material over to the archives and ordered it sealed for 50 years. That seemed forever ago. But the closer I get to 50, the more I realize it's coming soon. And so those documents are going to be public in February of 2027. So this is the backdrop. You know, a lot going on with that. The King family has since spoken. This happened a couple of hours ago. And since that moment where the King family was notified, or the public was notified, the King family has basically said, hey, we would like to see the files first. In fact, there's a joint statement from Bernice King and Martin Luther King III. They're the last two remaining children of MLK. And they said, today our family has learned that President Trump has ordered the declassification of the remaining records pertaining to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert F. Kennedy, and our father, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. For us, the assassination of our father is a deeply personal family loss that we have endured over the last 56 years. We hope to be provided the opportunity to review the files as a family prior to its public release. Again, to review the files as a family prior to its public release. Some people think that's unreasonable. Other people think that that's a fair ask. I want to know what y'all think. Is this a fair ask? Is this a ridiculous ask? Good question. I'm gonna give you my answer. I'm gonna tell you the whole thing. First of all, the United States declassifying the MLK documents to make things transparent is an interesting move, and the timing is interesting. The people that Donald Trump is trying to appease don't believe in the U.S. government being transparent. They are the conspiracy theory people. These are the people that think that every single part of life in the United States is a trap. It is a plot. It is a conspiracy. This is what they believe. And so it's a gesture to say, hey, we're going to open it all up and show you the truth. I'm going to be honest with y'all. If you think that the United States has some deep secrets, and they do, and that somehow they're going to be made plain, they're going to be opened up, that they're going to become transparent by showing the files, I got a bridge to sell you. If the United States did something, they didn't write it in a folder that can be exposed by Donald Trump or anybody else. This isn't about Donald Trump. This is just about how the United States works. The FBI surveillance of MLK is interesting. And of course, the COINTELPRO, the government counterintelligence program, has been, because of the Freedom of Information Act, it shows you all the stuff that the U.S. did, the plotting, the lying, the harassment they had in MLK. I mean, you had J. Edgar Hoover literally trying to convince Martin Luther King Jr. to kill himself, literally trying to convince him to kill himself. So we do know that this stuff is written down, but the deeper level, that's just one level below sea level. I'm saying we got to go deeper. When you go deeper, found out a whole lot more. You find out a whole lot more. When we start talking about assassinations, whether it's Malcolm X or Martin King or Robert F. Kennedy, you're talking about layers and layers and layers of conspiracy. There's no way the FBI had this much of a track on Martin King, and yet somehow he was assassinated without the government knowing or being involved in it. There was some complicity there, whether it's that the government had something to do with it actively or they just did nothing while someone else did it. But the point here is that it is hard to believe. It is hard to believe that if the government had something to do with this, that's going to come out in these folders. And it's hard to believe that if the folders are clean, the files are clean and declassified, and there's nothing there that makes the government culpable, that means that it's true. We don't know. I'm not here to spin a conspiracy about who killed MLK. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I am doing is saying that whatever we don't know about Martin Luther King Jr., if there is a conspiracy, it won't be made plain by Donald Trump declassifying anything. That's not how this thing works. And as far as the family wanting to see it, I think that's right. Given the amount of harassment the King family has received, given the amount of pain they've had to endure, I think it's important for them to see what's in those files so that they can prepare, so that they can have messaging, so that they can have an emotional response. Because Martin Luther King Jr. is a complicated figure. His life is complicated. His life was complicated. His story was complicated. His struggle was unique. And so, at least just based on what I know from the COINTELPRO stuff and the rumors I've heard about what's in the FBI stuff, I think it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable for them to say, hey, you declassifying this, you're making this clear, you're making this plain, that's fine. But let us give us the dignity and the care to be prepared for it. I think that's fine. MLK family is like royalty in this country. They are no different than any U.S. presidential family. And I think the same care we give them, those people, we got to give these people. So then the next question becomes, why now? Why now? Why does Donald Trump care this much about this to do this now? Now, it could just be campaign promises. It could just be good public relations. He was talking about doing it for a minute. Or they're trying to distract us from something. Or they're trying to distract us from something. That's the question for me. That's the thing for me. While we're looking at these files, what will the U.S. government be doing? While we're reading every detail that's been made plain, what the heck will the Trump administration be doing? That's the question to me. That's the question to me. That's what I want to know. That's what I need to know. And that's what I'm scared about. because MLK declassifications, RFK declassifications, JFK declassifications, they are going to have the world captivated, enraptured. We're gonna be talking about it, reading closely. It'll be like a bunch of hermeneutical scholars out here. It's gonna be so much going on. What's getting passed? It's like Trump right now with the executive orders. There's so many of them, and we get so excited about some of the more prominent ones. But what's happening with the ones that are less prominent? Who stands to lose? Who stands to gain? These are the questions we got to think about.